All right, what's going on, everybody? A very happy Thursday. Welcome. It is Pushing the Limits. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We got a lot going on, as we seem to always do pretty much every day on this show. And a lot to get to. We'll be introducing our guest from the Huffington Post here in just a moment. Hakeem, Jeffries, and Lawler going at it for everybody to see. We're going to kind of dissect that and talk about that. And Mike Johnson looking like he's aged about 20 years in the past few days. He is Leonard Cardinale. He's joining us in studio, co-hosting with me today. Leonard, it is good to see you as always, my friend. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Brian. A lot to go over. But
does
Mike Johnson have a permanent pouty face, or is it just me? He does. He looks like it, right? When he goes on TV, he looks like he has a permanent pouty face.
Well, he's got a lot to be pouty about. And speaking of which, the guy that's going to be joining us here in just a moment, his name is Arthur Delaney from the Huffington Post. He had the opportunity to ask Mike Johnson this question yesterday. I want you to have a listen to this exchange and Mike Johnson's lack of an answer. Have a listen to this.
Speaker Johnson, a lot of the free health care for illegal aliens that you've been talking about is care provided in emergency rooms, which are required by federal law to care for anybody, even if they can't pay, even if they're not a citizen. Do you think that that law should be changed?
No, you're talking about EMTALA, which has been part of the law for most of my life. Emergency care is provided without question to anyone who comes in. If you're hemorrhaging and you show up in an emergency room, you get treated.
I'm wondering why Caroline Leavitt wouldn't answer that direct question in the White House press conference the other day.
That's a total walk back.
Yeah, it seems to be that way. And as I said, the really good journalist and reporter who asked that question is joining us right now on the show. Arthur Delaney with the Huffington Post joining us right now. Arthur, I really do appreciate you being here. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Hi, Arthur.
Appreciate you being here. I've been wanting to get you on the show for a while now. I have to ask you, when you're asking that question and you see the answer or the lack thereof from Mike Johnson, what is going through your mind?
Well, he was ready for that question because he did not hesitate to say that he backed EMTALA, the Emergency Medical Treatment and Stabilization Act from 1986, because they've been saying about illegal immigrants supposedly getting free Medicaid, free health care, has sort of implied that you oppose them getting it in this specific manner, and they in their gripes about what Democrats want in the shutdown, they've complained about them wanting to repeal part of a law that they passed that actually addressed funding for states regarding hospital care. So I think he knew the question was coming, and so he focused on this law being good. And I also put this question to the Senate Majority Leader in the hallway, and he didn't hesitate either to say they backed that law, which I was glad to get the opportunity to ask, because I thought their rhetoric made it an open question. What are you getting at here? And so no, they don't want to go there, even though the White House didn't feel ready to answer that question. J.D. Vance has said immigrants are crowding emergency rooms. Well, if you don't want that, there's only one way you're going to prevent it, which is to let people bleed out in parking lots.
Exactly. And I'm glad you asked that question. It's a question that it seems like a lot of Republicans have to answer, but they seem to have a half-hearted answer at that question. What did you make, by the way, Arthur, of the Hakeem, Jeffries, Lawler spat that they had for all to see? What did you make of that?
So here at the Capitol, where I am right now, the Mike Johnson is here, and he's one of the only Republicans, and lots of Democrats are here, and Hakeem, Jeffries, and Mike Johnson are doing press events every day. And so yesterday, before this fight happened, some Senate Democrats had actually come over and staged a little press conference outside Johnson's office, and Johnson came out and basically beefed with them, and these fellas were all pointing their fingers at each other and saying, no, you don't want to open the government. Yeah, well, you're protecting pedophiles. And Mike Lawler actually happened to be standing there. We do have a few Republican stragglers who've been around, and Mike Lawler was there yesterday, and he jumped into that fray. And I walked with him afterward. I was like, well, you seemed like you had a good time there. He's like, yeah, I'm around. I thought I might as well get involved. And he basically walked straight from the rumble in the rotunda over to where Jeffries was then having a press conference in the visitor center. And it was just like, I'm fired up. I'm going to fight Jeffries now. And it was a very similar interaction And Jeffries was very ready to beef himself. I mean, he's been beefing with Republicans, but not face to face. So that was new and different. And it wasn't that obvious to me either of them got the better of the other, though I'd be interested in hearing what you guys thought, like who came out on top there.
Honestly, I thought it was pathetic on both sides, and I'm going to do an entire segment. And to be honest with you, Arthur, I'm sad to see that stuff. First of all, I think Lawler was a complete clown for wanting to make it like some sort of show, and I also think that the way that Hakeem Jeffries handled it wasn't the best either. Do that behind closed doors. If you want to have a conversation, Representative Lawler, let's do it privately instead of yelling and screaming. I thought they both made mistakes there. And I just think it's a sad moment for the country. And I guess that comes to my next question. If you're just joining us, by the way, Arthur Delaney, a great journalist and reporter for the Huffington Post. What is it like being a reporter with the Manu Rajus of the world and others chasing down these politicians at a time now where I think it's so contentious and it's got to be difficult for you guys? It's like a clown show out there. What is it like for you being a reporter talking to these politicians? It's such a crazy time that we are living in right now.
It's a great privilege to be a reporter at the Capitol because you have full access. You can go just about anywhere. And that means, and my job is to walk up to these folks and accost them. And it's a lot of fun. Occasionally people do get nasty and say mean things to reporters, but that's fine. That's part of the job. And yesterday when they were fighting each other, which is very unusual, that was weird. And the main reason they were doing that is because we were all watching. And so they were trying to get rhetorical punches, but it wasn't, a real fight. They weren't actually going to start fighting each other. And I think it was corny, basically. And I agree. That's how it looks. And I think we've reached the limit of politicians like cussing and trying to seem cool, which has been a real phenomenon this year. I mean, if you're cussing and stuff, like, well, you guys are gonna have to start punching each other because it's an escalation. But it clearly isn't. It doesn't work. It's not going anywhere. And today, Jeffries was just asked about it on the steps, and he's, the reporter said, "So Mike Lawler came up to you," and Jeffries was like, "Who?" And that was kind of funny. And then Jeffries did not criticize Mike Lawler after that. I would be surprised if we have more of these hallway.
Probably not. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. I wanted to ask you, Arthur, somebody like you've been doing this for a while. You do your job and you do it well. When you hear that Donald Trump invites people like Nick Sortor and Katie Daviscourt and the Jack Posobiec's of the world, I mean, there are actually serious people out there that consider them to be journalists. Now, I don't think they are. I think they're just right-wing agitators. Does that bother somebody like you? Because it bothers me, and I'm just a talk show host. I'm not a journalist, but it's like they invite these people to the White House yesterday to speak to Pam Bondi and Donald Trump about the threat of Antifa. And I'm like, what's next with this administration? I mean, a guy like a Nick Sortor, he's not, am I wrong to say this? He's not a journalist.
I am not actually that familiar with him. I realize he's the guy who was out in Portland, who was, I think, involved in that altercation with the burning flag. I appreciate you taking umbrage on the behalf of professional journalists, but it hasn't really bothered me, the influencers and right-wing personalities the White House has been bringing in, because it has seemed very obvious that these guys aren't doing what the professional reporters do. And the way they do it, it looks kind of corny. And it's sort of like with the fake fighting here at the Capitol, like, well, this isn't the real thing. And I think everybody knows that, including the Trump administration, because they have to give them like a special shout out and preface their opportunity to speak as like, now we will hear from one of our special new media people. Like, okay. And the questions that they ask are very obviously intended to flatter the administration, and nobody thinks that's what reporters are supposed to do.
Of course, I completely agree with you. Are there politicians there on Capitol Hill, because you're there almost every day, that just refuse to talk to you or accuse you of being the liberal media, the Huffington Post, or whatever? There are people that say all sorts of different things. Are there some politicians that refuse to talk to you? Have you had any interactions like that?
Most Republicans will criticize the media to our faces, and to me they'll say, "Oh yeah, well, HuffPost, so you're going to write liberal trash." And that's really not a big deal. They're doing this at the same time that they're being genial and talking to me and answering my questions, very often providing information. There are some members who just don't talk, like Cindy Hyde-Smith, a Republican senator, Tom Cotton, usually doesn't talk. Sometimes he does, though. There aren't a whole lot of them that will react with just total hostility. Even Derek Van Orden, who after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, said, well, this is all your fault. I mean, the next day he's being completely friendly. So it's just a weird social/professional situation that I don't think anyone who does this job would complain about.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, Arthur, if you had the opportunity right now to ask Donald Trump one question, what do you think it would be?
I guess I would ask, are you going to do the Insurrection Act? Are you going to have troops arrest people? Something that is not normal in the United States outside of a crisis. And I just think that's the big presidential powers question that we're confronting right this minute.
Yeah.
And I respect you asking me that, because I often want myself to have a question ready, because sometimes you'll turn the corner and some important person will be there and you feel like an idiot if you don't have a question.
Yeah. I think that would be a really good question to ask. I have actually, believe it or not, never been to Washington, D.C., and I'm going to be out there next week to do Tim Pool's podcast, believe it or not, who once received a media credential in the White House press briefing room. I'll definitely ask him about that.
He had his hat on, he was Tim Pool. It's not like you were replacing us with Tim Pool. You should come to the Capitol. I do think it's the best building. It's a lot more interesting than the White House briefing room, and I'll come say hi if you visit.
Yeah, I would love to do that. I'm going to be there next week, and I'll definitely hit you up. Arthur, I really do appreciate what you guys do at Huffington Post. You're a great journalist and reporter. Please keep up the great work and keep pressing them with those good questions, my friend. And look forward to talking to you again soon. I appreciate your time, my friend. We'll let you get back to work. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Thank you very much. That's Arthur Delaney, everybody. Really good reporter with the Huffington Post. Can you imagine what that must be like to be doing what he does for a living right now? With what's going on in Washington,
he said you could turn the corner at any moment and have a senator or a representative standing right in your face. And I agree with him. You got to be ready with good questions, because that's what they're expecting.
Arthur's really good at what he does, and I really respect him as a journalist.
That's professional. Yes.
Very professional, and that's what a real reporter and journalist sounds like. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's not Laura Loomers of the world or these clowns like Nick Sortor or Cam Higsby. These are not reporters. Okay, these are not journalists.
Reporters don't provoke people.
They don't have any degrees in this. They don't have any specialties. They're just agitators. They're professional agitators. Now, I did say something in that interview, and I see my phone getting yes, I am flying out to Washington, D.C. next week. We already have a date put in place. I'm going to be debating two people that I've criticized a lot: Alex Stein and Tim Pool. Yes, I'm going on their pod. I'm going to be flying out there next week. It's already been confirmed. So that is going to be an extremely interesting
experience. Going in the Wolves Den, huh?
I'm getting thrown in there, man. And that's okay. I appreciate the invite.
What you're supposed to do.
I appreciate the invite. And I'm I'm willing to go on just about listen, I would do Nick Fuentes' podcast if you ask me. I'll do anybody's podcast and go toe to toe with them. So that should be interesting. I'll have more information for you guys. In fact, it's going to be an event that I'm going to be going to in Washington, D.C. next week. And we're going to have some tickets to give away as well. So that is going to be very interesting. I'm going to make a deal with Tim. If he takes off his hat, I'll take off mine. I'm already set
and
to go.
And you got an invite from Arthur to swing by.
Yeah, the only issue is I might be flying out there Friday, Saturday. I don't know if I'll have enough time to do so, but I will definitely hit Arthur up, and I would love
that would be awesome
to be in those chambers and to be
clips.
Asking questions. Yeah, I would love to be one of those people. I wouldn't want to do it every day like Arthur and Manu Raju, because I think I would lose my mind. But once in a while, absolutely. I would absolutely do that. So I'll give you more information on that event I'm going to be doing with Alex Stein and Tim Pool, by the way. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I want to get your thoughts, of course, on this Hakeem Jeffries Lawler interaction. I have some opinions on it that might surprise some of you. And then we're going to go into Mike Johnson. I know you have some opinions, Leonard. Do you want to share on Mike Johnson, who did not have
permanent pouty face?
Yeah, he did not have a very good appearance on C-SPAN. We'll play the audio of that as well. But before we take a break, and I want to get your thoughts on all this stuff because it's important. We talk about healthcare on this show every single day. We're going to talk about it today with the government shutdown. A lot of it has to do with healthcare.
We've had callers call in who are experiencing the terror of what it's doing to their families.
Correct. You're right. You're right.
Direct effect on families. No hyperbole, no BS, no exaggeration. And so, I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, it's okay.
But we do have callers saying that on the ground, this is affecting my son who has special needs. This is affecting my mother, my grandmother. So it's a real thing.
Oh, no question it is. And that's why I'm so proud to be partnered up with the good people at Chapter for free and unbiased Medicare help. You'll see the number right there on the bottom of your screen. All you got to do is call that number, 212-461-4078. The Medicare annual enrollment is October 15th through December 7th. So literally right around the corner, right? Seniors are getting bombarded with robocalls. Plans change every year. That's why this is so important. And the great thing about Chapter is they review every plan nationwide to make sure you're on the best one. And on average, Chapter saves people somewhere around $1,100 a year. Why wouldn't you call?
It's a free phone call.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. And this is the great part about it too, besides it being a free phone call, is that your review options, they'll give you a review in under 20 minutes. And if you're already on the right plan, they'll tell you. It's not like they're there to say, oh no, don't take this plan, take this plan. If they think you're on the right plan that fits you, they'll tell you that. And if not, they'll help you switch. So call that number on the bottom of your screen. We're so happy to be working with Chapter for free and unbiased Medicare help. That number again on the bottom of your screen. Just give them a call. Give them a try. 212-461-4078 to speak with my trusted partner, Chapter. Or, of course, you can go to that link there. You see it on the bottom as well. askchapter.org/limits. Give them a call. I promise you, you have nothing to lose, and you will save money. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, of course, we're going to take phone calls on the other side. Don't worry. When are we going to take calls? We take calls every day. Leonard knows that. I have some very interesting opinions on this Hakeem Jeffries Lawler mix-up that I'm going to share with you, and then I want to get your opinions on what you thought about it. And Hakeem Jeffries did respond to it. We're going to play some of that audio. My friend JoJo from Jers on her podcast. He came on her podcast.
She's been on fire. Not to interrupt you.
I love JoJo.
On fire lately.
Joanna's great.
She is really, really mad about the healthcare situation.
Well, she should be. We all should be. And JoJo's very passionate, and I love it when she joins me on the show. I've done her podcast. Hakeem Jeffries did her podcast today, so we're going to play some audio there.
Excellent.
And then some Mike Johnson clips that that are unbelievable. Oh, yeah, by the way, while all this is going on, Newsmax is playing advertisements for Trump watches. We have that audio to play for you as well. You might get a kick out of that, or you might cry, or maybe both. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in 90 seconds, and we're going to break down this Hakeem Jeffries Lawler spat that they had yesterday. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP. All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us. We got Leonard Cardinale co-hosting with me, of course, today. Leonard will be hosting the show next week on Wednesday, and then the following week.
Flying solo, that's going to be scary.
He has his work cut out for him, and I'll be flying
Hopefully
out.
they'll be supportive.
I'll be flying out to Washington, D.C. next week to do Alex Stein and Tim Pool's podcast. And then the Un-F America Tour comes to UNLV, where I will be debating people at a table at UNLV.
Let's go.
With the Un-F America Tour. So that's going to be interesting, to say the least. And that'll give people in Vegas the opportunity to meet me and even debate me. So that should be I'll have some more information on that. Z from the Un-F America Tour is going to be joining us in studio to talk a little bit about that, to promote that event as well. So we got a lot going on here. I have a lot going on. And Leonard, I got to be honest with you. I have criticisms for both sides at times, certainly more criticisms for the right, if anybody watches this program. But I watched this interaction between Hakeem Jeffries and Representative Lawler. I'm going to give you my opinions on it after we play the clip. But I will say this. I'm not happy with what I'm seeing from a lot of politicians in Washington, D.C. So right here, this is Hakeem Jeffries coming right out of a press conference, by the way. Right out of a press conference, and Lawler is just waiting for him. Have a listen to this exchange.
Your extension. Why don't we sign on right now?
Let me ask you a question. Did you get permission from your boss?
Why don't we sign on right now?
Did your boss, Donald Trump?
You can easily extend
Did
the ACA
your
right
boss,
now.
Donald Trump,
He's
give
not
you
my
permission?
boss.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not. By the way,
So let me ask you a
why
question.
did you vote to
Let me
shut
ask
the
you a
government
question.
down?
You
Why
know
did
I
you
didn't-
vote to shut
Let
it
me
down?
ask you a question.
For years, you always lectured about how we need to keep the government open.
You're making a show of this to
No,
make
it's
yourself
sad.
relevant.
It's sad. You could
It's
easily
an
sign on to
You're
this.
embarrassing
You
yourself
could
right
sign
now.
on to this. The only
You're
embarrassment
chasing
here is
clout. You're an
you
embarrassment.
could sign on to the bill.
Let me ask you a question.
You have 4 Democrats on here.
Let me ask you a
Why won't
question.
sign on
Let me ask
to
you a
it?
question.
It's a
Let
clean
me ask you
extension
a
for 1
question.
year.
You voted for the one big
Clean
ugly bill,
extension.
correct?
I voted for a
The
tax
largest-
cut bill that gave the
the
largest
largest
tax
cut-
cut
the
to
largest-
Americans in history,
the
including, by
largest-
the way, the average New Yorker getting a $4,000 tax cut. Are you against that?
You're embarrassing
Do you wanna-
yourself right
You want
now.
to cut the standard deduction in
The
half? Is that
largest
what you
cut
wanna
to
do?
Medicaid in
No, we
American
voted
history.
out
You voted
waste,
for that.
fraud, and abuse, by the
You
way.
voted
Tom DiNapoli, the
for a
Democratic
permanent-
controller of New York,
Let me ask you a question.
pointed out that $1.2
If
billion
you're gonna,
were wasted.
listen, you're not gonna
Wasted.
talk. You're not gonna talk to me.
Wasted
You're not
on
gonna talk to me
fraud
and talk
and
over
non-New
me
York residents
because you don't
getting
want to
money.
hear what I have to say.
Oh, I'm
So
listening.
why
Go
don't you
ahead.
just keep your mouth shut?
Oh,
Because you
is
showed
that- is
up.
that the way to
You
talk?
showed up. You showed up.
Yeah.
And so you voted for this one
I
big
signed
ugly
on to
bill.
this. You can extend it
A
right now.
permanent extension of massive tax breaks for your billionaire donors.
So 90% of
So
Americans.
they can get a permanent.
All right, so my initial reaction was sadness after watching that exchange. I understand that Lawler was there to put on a show for the cameras. I am not the biggest Hakeem Jeffries fan. I think he's a decent man. He's a very educated, intelligent man. I've said that he's probably the wrong guy for this job. I'm going to criticize both sides, and the reason why I was sad, Leonard, watching this, is because I say to myself, is this where we're at as a country now? Where you have the left and the right just yelling at each other, calling each other names, no matter how frustrated you might be
And
with one
political
another.
theater when important decisions need to be made,
I
not
agree.
political theater.
That was political theater. I agree with you. Now, Lawler, my criticism is, first of all, you were just there for a charade, and as Ed Leonard's just said, which I agree with, political theater. But if you're Hakeem Jeffries, why engage like that? Why not say, Mr. Lawler, if you'd like to speak to me in my office now behind closed doors and have a civil conversation, we can do that. I'm not going to shout at you and have a debate with you in front of the media after one of my press conferences. He also didn't do that. Now, listen, I don't think Hakeem Jeffries is a bad guy. I don't think he's phony. I do think Lawler is. But it makes me sad to watch that because, like, did you ever see, like, John McCain talk to somebody that way?
But
Did you ever see Barack Obama or even George Bush Sr.? Like, it's like we could disagree with one another. What good is it to yell at somebody like that? I'm a radio host, okay? I'm not an elected official. I could tell you if I was an elected official, I wouldn't talk to my opposition that way. On both sides. And it just got me really sad as an American because I'm like, what the hell is going on, Leonard?
Well, two things. I think Hakeem Jeffries is feeling the pressure of some Democrats who want them to stand up to Republicans. That's kind of the theme. So what my impression was when he walked out, he wants to make sure he looks like a tough guy and you can't speak over me. And I get that. But that, in my opinion, Brian, that is not what Democrats and independents want. What they want is policy. What they want is written law. What they want is substantive committees to get together and come out of that committee with a plan for the Democrats and a plan. And I've talked to you about Hakeem Jeffries many times. He's probably one of the best orators out there. He gives a great speech. But at the end of it, you're thinking, okay, okay, that was a great speech. So what's the plan? Like, what's the plan to lead? That's like me as a police lieutenant showing up at a scene and telling everybody, okay, guys, we gotta hold these criminals accountable. We gotta make sure that we do the right thing and we gotta stick together. Because let me just finish. The guys would be like, okay, that's great, LT, but what's the plan? You see what I'm saying?
Yes,
like
I do.
You can speak in superlatives all you want,
but you agree with me though that there's people in the chat that are saying, well, Hakeem Jeffries doesn't have to be nice. And Hakeem Jeffries...
That's not what you're saying.
I'm not saying Hakeem Jeffries has to be nice. There's a difference between being nice and doing something behind closed doors. If you want to yell at Lawler and you want to have that sort of conversation, do it behind closed doors. It makes both of you look bad and it's unprofessional to do it in front of the cameras. Clearly, Lawler does not want to have that conversation behind closed doors. Lawler's not a serious person.
There's
He's
no
a phony,
value.
okay?
No value behind closed
So
doors.
all you say is, Mr. Lawler, if you'd like to have a conversation with me in my office without all these cameras around where we can have a discussion, let's do it. If not, I'm not interested in talking to you. What does that accomplish? Number one, Lawler doesn't get his moment in front of the cameras. And number two, you don't look bad. I'm sorry, folks. I call it as I see it. They both look bad there. Okay? They both look bad. Yes. Did Lawler initiate? Yes. Was Lawler trying to get that moment? Yes. Jeffries wasn't seeking him out. I understand that. Yes.
But Lawler also, he didn't lie, but he said, do you want to take away $4,000 in tax breaks from the people of New York City? And what he's saying is there's an extension. It's simply an extension that's in it for the minimum deductions. It is not a tax break. So what he's doing is he's saying, he's kind of fantasizing about how this could be a big moment. And I think Lawler missed by a mile.
Look, if there's people out there that disagree with me, that's fine. I'm not saying what Hakeem Jeffries was an abomination. What I am saying is it's not going to accomplish anything. And I think both parties know that. And I think it's a bad look for the country. You need to have those conversations in private. And hopefully, why are you having these conversations? To try to iron out any differences that you might have. Now, listen, I don't have a lot of faith right now. All I'm saying is I'm very sad that that is where we are at as a country. I'm a radio talk show host, okay? I'm not an elected official. If you're an elected official, you're supposed to represent all of your constituents, not just one side of the aisle. And I don't think that was done well on both sides. And I think if Hakeem Jeffries wanted to say a few quick things, go ahead and then walk away. I thought the longer he stood there, the worse it was. Lawler is a complete clown.
All he had to do was say, Republicans shut down the government. Do you agree? Do you disagree? And here's why. I think it would have been a well-taken point if Hakeem Jeffries would have said that at that point, instead of trying to push back and argue and what about this?
So you agree with me. So this is what
well, I don't think it moved the needle.
Doesn't
Ryan.
accomplish
I don't think
anything,
it advanced
right?
the ball.
That's what I care about. Moving the needle, accomplishing something. So this was Hakeem Jeffries on my friend Joanna Carducci's podcast today when asked about this, and I'm not sure he made the situation any better, but here's what Hakeem Jeffries had to say.
House Democratic leadership, we just held a press conference demanding that Republicans show up for work, return from vacation, stop canceling votes, swear in Representative-elect Adelita Grajava, and do something, most importantly, to address the Republican healthcare crisis that's devastating people all across the country. So we conclude this press conference, and I hear that Mike Lawler, who's a complete and total fraud, is waiting outside to step to me. I think some of my team would have probably preferred that I just ignore him, but I'm like, you know what? I'm not the one. Don't come for me unless I send for you. And I did not send for this malignant clown. I think he thought he was confronting Beltway Hakeem, but he saw Brooklyn Hakeem.
So
yeah, and I kind of get that, but
I get what he's saying, but it didn't accomplish anything other than ego. Here's what I'm concerned about right now, and we're going to get into this. I'm concerned about our brave men and women in uniform that are not getting paid. I'm concerned about everybody that is not getting a paycheck right now, the people that this is actually hurting. And the only point that I am trying to make here is that Lawler and Hakeem Jeffries yelling at each other in front of the cameras is not going to accomplish anything. What will accomplish something? Keep pushing the Republicans and explaining your side.
Yes, I agree.
And Republicans can continue to lie and say that this is the fault of the Democrats. But the point being, you have to send the message to the American people. And there are times that Hakeem Jeffries is doing that, and then there are times that he's not doing it very well. And calling him a clown, yes, I understand. I agree, Mr. Jeffries. Lawler is a clown. I agree with you. But that's not going to move the needle, as Leonard says. And my issue and my concern are with the people out there that are not getting paychecks that are suffering right now. And, you know, Leonard, I've said since day one that Mike Johnson is a little weasel, and he's a pathetic human being who only cares about himself, and he's a weirdo.
He looks stressed the last couple of
Well,
days
he
on
should
TV.
be, because a lot of this is on him, and he's
and
taking
pouty,
the brunt of
and
it.
very pouty when they ask questions.
But Mike Lawler made the rounds. Mike Johnson made the rounds yesterday.
He had to.
And he did a bunch of different interviews on a bunch of different networks. And you know, he looked terrible. But I'm not sure any moment looked as bad as when he made his appearance on C-SPAN yesterday, because they're very smart at C-SPAN, and they allowed people to call in, Republicans, to call in. Some of those people who voted for Mike Johnson. I want you to listen to this call-in, where a mother calls C-SPAN and is pleading with Mike Johnson. She says, my kid could lose his life. You could stop this if you wanted to.
I heard it. I did.
It's a mesmerizing moment. And, of course, Mike Johnson gives his half-hearted, weak answer. But just have a listen to this exchange.
And as a Republican, I'm very disappointed in my party, and I'm very disappointed in you, because you do have the power to call the House back. You did that, or you refused to do that just for a show. I'm begging you to pass this legislation. My kids could die. We don't have the credit because of the medical bills that I have to pay regularly. You could stop this, and you could be the one that could say military's getting paid. And I think that it is awful, and the audacity of someone who makes six figures a year to do this to military families is insane.
All right, Samantha.
Samantha, I'm so sorry to hear about your situation. The reason I've been so angry this week, and they've been calling me out on media, Johnson's angry. I am angry because of situations just like yours. I have a big military district.
Yeah, so what? And then he goes on his nonsense talking about, well, I have a big military district and nobody cares more about our military more than I do. Hey, dummy, then why don't you open up?
Why don't they fix it?
Why don't you do something about it, you dope? You lying dope, fake Christian, you? And then a C-SPAN caller, Leonard, calls in and says, when are you going to fix Obamacare? We've been hearing the same thing for 9 years from Trump and MAGA supporters about how much they can't stand Obamacare. Then what is your replacement plan? There is no plan.
We have already voted to pay the troops. We did it 3 weeks ago. We put that bill on the floor, and the Republicans voted to pay the troops, TSA agents, Border Patrol, Air Traffic Control, and everybody else. The Democrats voted no. Go pull the record. It was 3 weeks ago. We had the vote. Only one Democrat voted with us to pay the troops. We've done it. The House has done its job. The reason the House isn't here in regular session is because they turned the lights off.
And here's Mike Johnson in his press conference, who probably deserves, I don't know, a Golden Globe or maybe an Academy Award by telling the American public how upset he allegedly is. Have a listen to this.
And I want to look right to you and say thank you, President Trump, because
that's the wrong
without
clip.
you...
That's the wrong clip. But there's a moment where Mike Johnson says that he's upset, that he's a very patient man,
And he's
but
angry.
he's very angry right now. That was clip 5, but we can get back to that. But the real issue here, ladies and gentlemen, is our own are not getting paid. And when I say our own, I mean our military, our brave men and women in uniform, the people out there.
We have
airports are canceling flights. People are getting stuck. Do you think they care? They don't care. Marjorie, not to change subject, Marjorie Taylor Greene went on this morning, who, you know, stepped away from the Republican Party, and she said the only thing that she could suggest was the nuclear option, to have a filibuster. And I believe that that's a complete flip-flop on her part, because on the one hand, she's saying she's worried about the medical coverage, and we need to bring people back to work. We need to sit down and negotiate. And what is there, one or two Republicans in the entire hallway? But at the end, she said, and we may have to use the filibuster option.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really, it makes absolutely no sense to me, except other than the fact that these MAGA Republicans do not care.
They're just angry because they got stood up to.
Well,
that's exactly what happened. The Democratic strategy was to use their leverage before they lose it, and what they're angry about is they can't just push them around. And now the polls say that, I saw one this morning, said 71% of Americans think that the Republicans are responsible for the shutdown. That's what he's angry about. He doesn't care about the people.
Right. And speaking of which, again, this is the cut that I wanted to play for you. This is Mike Johnson, who probably deserves an Academy Award for saying how upset he is.
People are upset. I'm upset. I'm a very patient man, but I am very angry right now because this is dangerous stuff.
He's very upset. Give this man an Academy Award. He sounds really upset. He's so upset that he wants to take Medicare away from 20 million Americans. He's so upset that behind closed doors, they don't want to pay for somebody who's undocumented who needs life-saving care in the ER. He's so upset that right now he could pay these people in our
Is
military.
he upset that Trump threatened people's jobs and said, I'm going to cherry pick which people get to stay and which people get to go, which people get paid, which people that is the most un-American thing I've heard in a long time.
So if you want to hear Mike Johnson continue to lie,
Pout.
why not put a standalone military pay bill on the floor? This is the question that Mike Johnson is being asked. He's being asked, why not put a standalone military pay bill on the floor? And Mike Johnson's response to this is absolutely insane. Have a listen to what Mike Johnson has to say about this.
Already voted to pay the troops. We did it 3 weeks ago. We put that bill on the floor, and the Republicans voted to pay the troops, TSA agents, Border Patrol, Air Traffic Control, and everybody else. The Democrats voted no. Go pull the record. It was 3 weeks ago. We had the vote. Only one Democrat voted with us to pay the troops. We've done it. The House has done its job. The reason the House isn't here in regular session is because they turned the lights off.
That's not what happened.
Okay, first of all, that is a complete and total lie. Why isn't he being called out on that? It hasn't passed the House. It hasn't passed the Senate. And the reason why it hasn't is not because of Democrats. You lying scum, you. He's lying in a press conference. That is not because of the Democrats, Mike Johnson. You are a liar is what you are. You are a liar.
He's scrambling. He doesn't know what to say because they're getting the blame. And what he should have said was the reason why it didn't get a vote was because there was no continuing resolution for the subsidies for Obamacare, Medicaid, Medicare. That's what he should. That's what really happened. He's picking one thing, saying, "Oh yeah, we put money in the continuing resolution for military. It's not our fault." That's not the whole story.
Of course, it's not the whole story. Of course, they're going to lie. They're still blaming Democrats for this government shutdown, which couldn't be further from the truth. The Democrats don't want 20 million people to lose their health care. The Democrats want to be able to say firmly that if you're an undocumented immigrant and you need life-saving care, that an emergency room will not ask you for your paperwork. Look at the big and beautiful bill, as they call it. Takes away health care from millions and millions of Americans.
The Republicans are trying to walk that back, but it's not working.
Yeah, all the Democrats want to do is to keep things in place before this big, awful bill was put in place. That's all the Democrats want to do. They're not trying to get health care for undocumented immigrants. It's illegal. We all know that undocumented immigrants do not qualify for Obamacare subsidies. We know that. But the Republicans keep lying, and then when you question them on it, their lies, what do they say? They say, oh, well, that's eventually what the Democrats want to do, like they're fortune tellers. I mean, it's so insane.
They're proposing that they would come back to the table after the continuing resolution passes.
Right.
And what the Republicans are saying, hey, let's just give us our money, and then we'll come back before December 31st, and we'll give you everything you want. And I got to applaud the Democrats because they're using the only leverage they have. Remember, they don't have the House, they don't have the Senate, they don't have the Supreme Court, they don't have the White House, so they're using the only leverage they have, which I agree with.
Mm-hmm. And then there comes to Representative Lisa McClain. So I want you guys, I want to put this into context before we play what Lisa McClain had to say about Donald Trump. I'm not sure there's anybody in the House or the Senate that wears the Donald knee pads 24/7 better than Donald Trump, but or better than Lisa McClain, excuse me. But keep in mind, this is during a government shutdown when people are not getting paid. when we still have a war that is raging in Ukraine. They say there's a peace deal on the table between Hamas and Israel. I'll believe it when I see it.
Can I be the first to say I don't believe any of
Yeah.
that, but not to interrupt you,
Right.
but I want to go on the record.
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe it either. The country is suffering. People are losing their jobs. Many people that work in government are not getting paychecks, including our brave men and women in uniform right now. We have farmers that are losing everything because of these tariffs. Our country is on fire in a bad way. They're sending military into cities that certainly do not need the military
Shooting people
there.
with rubber bullets and gas.
Yeah, I mean, and while all this is going on, I want you to listen to what Representative Lisa McClain had to say about Donald Trump. I mean, I don't know whether to laugh or cry. Have a listen to this.
And I want to look right to you and say thank you, President Trump, because without you as our leader, this would not have happened. It is Joe Biden, or it was Joe Biden's weakness that got us into this situation. And thank God for you, President Trump, that it is your strength that has gotten us out of this situation. And this didn't happen by accident, right? It happened because of our president's strong leadership that puts America first and peace first. So again, I applaud President Trump for securing this historic peace deal.
Oh, really? Well, what has he secured? Has Israel received those hostages yet?
Maybe Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe we'll get that health care
That was
plan
a
in 2 weeks.
terrible display of bootlicking.
What has Donald Trump accomplished as far as peace right now? What deal has been done where these hostages have been released? Please tell me what's going on in Ukraine. They want to blame Joe Biden for everything. We know that. What has Donald Trump done in a positive manner to help this country? And don't talk to me about immigration. There's a lot of people in this country. I saw the last poll, a Fox News poll, where I think it said 70% of Americans, both Republican and Democrat, do not like the way Donald Trump is deporting people in this country.
Biden didn't do tariffs. Biden didn't put ICE machine out there and tell them to arrest people and not identify yourself. None of that happened under Biden. That's under Trump. What about due process? Biden never took away anybody's ability to get due process, search and seizure, First Amendment rights. Am I wrong?
No, you're right about that, and I talk about that on this show.
None of that
all the
was
time.
Biden.
You're right. But Lisa McClain wants to stand up there or kneel down there, whichever way you want to put it.
It was creepy.
I mean, these people are delusional, and they are cultists, and that's why I say it all the time. And while all this stuff is going on, while all these Americans are suffering, what are the advertisements that Newsmax is playing?
Oh.
Another very credible organization. News. This is the advertisement that Newsmax is playing multiple times every day. And it's Donald Trump selling his stupid watches. Have a listen to this.
Hello, everyone. It's President Donald J. Trump, and it's Trump time. Check out this red beauty. It's one of my new watches. Wear it proudly on your wrist, and everyone will know exactly what it's for, who it represents. It's really going to be something special. It's for your favorite president. Get your watch today at gettrumpwatches.com. These make a great gift. It's Trump time.
Grifter, snake oil salesman.
That's the advertisement that Newsmax is airing while so many Americans are suffering right now. He's trying to sell his watches. He's trying to sell his Trump Bibles. He's trying to sell pieces of his jacket when he was indicted. He's selling his trading cards. He's making billions of dollars off of this crypto scheme.
He wants his own coin.
Jared Kushner and the money that he's received from the Saudis, the company of Trump, because that's really what this is. This is not a presidency. It's Trump himself, his company, his brand. That's really what this is all about. It's not about making America first. It's
Ponzi
making
scheme.
Trump. Yeah, the whole thing is a Ponzi scheme. I agree. And while all this is going on, you still have people like Steve Scalise, who I think is another utterly horrific human being. And he's talking about, of all people, Steve Scalise, one of those people who voted for the big and beautiful bill where 15 to 20 million Americans are going to be losing their health care coverage. And Steve Scalise, at that press conference that I referred to earlier, wants to talk about the suffering that the people are going through. I mean, you want to talk about disingenuous. Steve Scalise is one of the worst. Here's what he had to say yesterday.
If you're Chuck Schumer, and a good day for you is defined by how much suffering you can impose on other people, including our men and women in uniform, maybe you need to look in the mirror and check yourself at the door and wonder what it is you're up here trying to accomplish. Is that really why Chuck Schumer ran for office? To inflict pain on other people so that he can have a good day, a better day for himself. When that is your measuring stick for a good day, is how much pain you're inflicting on other American families, you have lost your way. And yet they vote over and over again to keep the government shut down.
Oh, really? Well, I have something to say to Steve Scalise. Which is the party that is making people suffer? Well, I'll give you a hint. It's not the Democrats, and I'll explain why. Which is the party that is trying to take 20 million people off of their Medicaid coverage? You, Republicans.
He voted for it.
Which is the party who is taking away food stamps away from millions of Americans? You, the Republican Party. Which is the party that is against maternity leave? Which is the party that does not want to pay people unemployment benefits?
The SNAP program, the WIC program, the CHIP program. They don't want any of them.
Which is the party that is trying to take all these government programs away from Americans that are suffering, that are living paycheck to paycheck? Which is the party that goes after the trans community? Which is the party that goes after the gay community? Which is the party? No, really, I'm really asking this question seriously.
Which is the party that doesn't want it, that wants to take away your First Amendment civil rights, your Fifth Amendment civil rights, your Sixth Amendment civil rights, the 14th Amendment? I could go on. I can go on. And they're the party who wants to take away the rights in almost every category of the Bill of Rights. That's not the Democrats. That's the Republicans that are doing that. And it's obvious.
And Steve Scalise has the gall to speak in front of the American people and talk about how Chuck Schumer wants human beings to suffer, when the only reason why we're in this government shutdown right now is because Republicans refuse to allow human beings to get the health care that they so desperately need. And Steve Scalise wants to say and ask the question, why is Chuck Schumer running? Why is Chuck Schumer in the position he's in when after a school shooting, you guys are the ones that carry your AR-15 pins into the House chambers? You guys are the party that think more weapons make us safer. You guys are the party that are saying that Americans are lazy, and even though 30% of Americans that are working right now are the ones that aren't even offered health care coverage, you're the ones that are trying to take away that from the American people. And Steve Scalise has the gall to look you in the eye and say it's Chuck Schumer that wants Americans to suffer, you scumbag.
This is a group of people, Brian, that use the trans word as red meat for their base. And they would rather go on a TV show and talk about the trans people and the shows they put on and children, etc. And then in the same sentence, you say to them, well, the number one cause of children death in this country is guns.
Yeah.
So if you want to protect children, not the one or two that went to a show that you want to talk about who, by the way, had no harm and there was no violence, they just went to something they disagree with. But what about talking about all the children that were murdered
I agree.
by guns? They don't want to have that conversation.
I agree. It's interesting because Hakeem Jeffries, I gave some criticism to Hakeem Jeffries, and I'm not saying Chuck Schumer should be getting into an all-out screaming match with Steve Scalise, but if I'm Chuck Schumer and I'm the Democrat Party, immediately here's what I do. I roll a press conference the way the Republicans did, and I respond to what Steve Scalise said, and I laid out of what Democrats are trying to do, fighting for the American people, and what Steve Scalise and the Republicans are attempting to take away from the American people. Where is Chuck Schumer? I'm not talking about Chuck Schumer answering 2 or 3 questions with Manu Raju with a CNN reporter. That's not what I'm talking about here. I am talking about holding a press conference, repeating Steve Scalise's quote and words, and then running down the list of what Democrats are trying to do and explaining it to the American people. Where's Chuck Schumer?
If you don't give people the other side of the argument, Brian, like you do every day, then a lot of people are not going to be able to work it out in their own mind for themselves.
And then Chuck Schumer's
correct?
the guy that, yeah, I agree. And Chuck Schumer, I wrote a letter. No, a letter's not good enough.
Strongly worded letter.
Get the hell up there in D.C., hold a press conference, use Steve Scalise's words and the Republicans against them, and I know what you guys are trying to do because I actually follow the news. I know what you guys are trying to do. I know that in this situation, the Democrats are trying to do the right thing. Explain it to the American people and how Republicans are lying. Use Steve Scalise's words against him and run through what's in the big and beautiful bill, the bullet points of it, for lack of a better term, and explain to the American people why they are lying. Where is Chuck Schumer? I don't want to see Hakeem Jeffries get into a screaming match with Lawler for 5 minutes. That doesn't get us anywhere. I want the Democrats to get up there on a stage with Hakeem Jeffries and give the American people the facts and then force the Republicans to backpedal. The pressure should be on the Republicans right now, not the Democrats, who are trying to do everything they can for the American people right now to make sure that people get the health care that they deserve. Where is Chuck Schumer? He is supposed to be in front of the cameras right now, holding a press conference, holding the Republicans accountable with Steve Scalise.
Do we need a new leadership, Brian?
Well, of course we do. Of course we do.
I'll be the one to say it. I think Chuck Schumer had his time, and he's held the line, but he's just not up for this new America with this new task, with these un-American people just chasing down Americans and throwing them in vans. He's just not the guy for the job. And I think somebody should be younger. It doesn't have to be someone younger, but I think someone with leadership qualities and good ideas. And like you said, someone who has enough political savvy to say, this is an important moment. I need to get in front of the camera and not just go up and go, hey, well, we tried. They won't talk to us. We tried.
Yeah. Now, listen, I'm not really here to give Marjorie Taylor Greene any credibility because let's be very clear here. She has none. She's a very ignorant woman. And I'm starting to get a little bit upset. And even though I did agree with her this week with this bill because it affects her family now, I am so sick and tired of people giving Marjorie Taylor Greene way too much credit for wanting the Epstein files to be released. Now, before I play this clip, Leonard, let me help people try to understand why Marjorie Taylor Greene has been a little bit more outspoken lately. Well, I'll tell you why, because it's very simple. What happened, if you recall, is Marjorie Taylor Greene wanted to run for Senate. She desperately wanted Donald Trump's endorsement. It was Donald Trump himself who told her not to run because he didn't think she could win. Since then, we've seen a little bit of a different Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's not because all of a sudden now she has a moral compass.
On a couple of issues.
It's not because she has a moral compass now.
Right.
It's not because all of a sudden she saw the light. It's because she didn't get what she wanted. Donald Trump wouldn't endorse her. He told her that she couldn't win. And now all of a sudden she wants the Epstein files released. But anyhow, this is what Marjorie Taylor Greene said on CNN earlier today when she was challenged and asked about the Epstein files from Wolf Blitzer on CNN. Have a listen to this.
Is the Jeffrey Epstein files, wanting to release those. I know Democrats have also been calling for that, a few other Republicans as well. The Democrats are accusing Speaker Johnson of delaying the swearing-in of Arizona's Democratic Congresswoman-elect because she would give the last vote needed to release those Epstein files. I'm wondering, the Speaker, for his part, he has denied that. He said it's because of the shutdown. Have you spoken to him? Do you think she should be sworn in right away?
Well, I'll say it like this. I can't conclusively say if that's why the House is not in session, but the House should be in session. And the House should be in session for many reasons. We have appropriation bills that need to get passed. There is a new Democrat that's been elected that does deserve to be sworn in. Her district elected her. We have other bills that we need to be passing. And if it's to avoid the discharge petition, why drag this out? That is going to have 218 signatures. And so I say go ahead and do it and get it over with.
Mm-hmm.
Let me be very clear by saying the only reason Marjorie Taylor Greene is now speaking out on this issue, whether it comes to the big and beautiful bill, which, by the way, she didn't read, or when it comes to the Epstein files, the only reason why she is speaking out on this, Leonard, is because she didn't get what she wanted from Donald Trump.
Yep.
That's it. You agree with that?
Well, she also, when she brought up the health care, she made it about her family and her daughters. There's no change in philosophy. She didn't say, I think it would be significant if she said, you know what, I'm doing this because it's the right thing to do. She never at any point said anything like that. She didn't say this is the right thing to do, and that's why this is best for America. This is best for the medical care. She said, well, it affects my family too. And to me, that's just short-sighted and probably not completely genuine.
That is the Republican Party today. Unless something directly affects them, they don't want to help the American people. I've given time and time again examples of this, and I continue to stand by that. Before we take phone calls, this portion of is brought to you by Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. I was there last night watching the Vegas Golden Knights games with family and friends, and unfortunately, the Knights lost last night. But Jackson's Bar and Grill has this great contest. It's called Pass the Puck Contest, where if you hit a 4 of a kind by the end of the first period and you're holding onto that puck, you have a chance to win up to $750 in free slot play. It's such a phenomenal atmosphere. Check them out. They're located at Flamingo and Jones. I had a great chicken salad there yesterday. I never eat healthy. Anybody who knows me well, my diet is full of fast food.
You had a salad that one day at lunch, then you did have
once in a while
wings, and you also had.
My diet isn't as bad as Donald Trump, and I'm also not morbidly obese, thank goodness. Knock on wood. But I had a great meal there yesterday. That's the point.
Did you see him falling asleep yesterday?
I did. Check him out. Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. I promise you, you will have a great time there, and tell them that I sent you. Jackson's Bar and Grill. I did see Donald Trump falling asleep.
And the right side of his mouth is drooping or something. Some people think
he's a drooper.
May have had a stroke at some point, or
I don't know if that's true or not, but I don't
know if it's true either.
I will say that Stormy Daniels said that's not the only thing that's drooping, but we'll leave that for another show, ladies and gentlemen.
Can I bring up one thing about Mike Johnson real quickly, because it's bothering me? So Mike Johnson is saying during the shutdown he can't swear in someone who won a legitimate election in Arizona, and someone pointed out to him that under pro forma, that in the past there were 2 Republicans who were sworn in while it was shut down. So another lie from Mike Johnson, because it's been done before, and it's been done on 2 different Republicans.
Wait a second. Are you saying Mike Johnson lies? I thought he was a wholesome, good-hearted Christian man. I'm sorry. That's shocking to me.
He was
anyway,
on Porn Watch with his son.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go. That's very normal. Let's go to the YouTube Super Chat, if I may.
Talk about it. Sorry, go ahead.
It's absurd. The Weirdo on the YouTube Super Chat. And by the way, anybody can go to the YouTube Super Chat, and their questions and comments will be read live on the air by yours truly. Unless Leonard is filling in for me, which he will be this Wednesday. The Weirdo says, Jeffrey Lawler reminded me of 2 guests talking trash until a friend gets involved to hold me back. All performance. Is this Congress or WWE? Well, I think it's more WWE.
Hold me back, bro.
Yeah, I'll go to WWF. That's back in the days when I used to watch Andre the Giant and the Hulkster. No Money G says the Republicans could pass that bill all by themselves right now without Dems to reopen. They're scared as hell to do so and need to blame the Dems. No Money.
Exactly right.
I completely agree with you. Rob Cosgrove says Republicans can use the nuclear option and open the government without the Dems.
True also.
They don't want accountability. So sad. Well, you're right. The Republicans never want accountability.
Right, they can use the filibuster if they want.
They never. The problem is they never take accountability. That's the problem. So the YouTube Super Dying Breed says you and Leo are a great team. Thank you, Breed. I appreciate that very, very much. Anybody else in the YouTube Super Chat? Your voices can be heard if you would like. And please check out the website as well, also pushingthelimits.live, where you can make donations and buy PTL merchandise. I promised you guys we would get to the phone calls, and that's exactly what we're going to do right now. The number to call is 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you want to be a part of the conversation, now is the time to do so. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. We will be continuing to read questions, comments on the YouTube Super Chat. We've talked about a lot today.
There is a lot going on.
Quick rundown. We had a reporter from the Huffington Post. He's a great reporter. Arthur Delaney joining us. He pressed Mike Johnson on some questions yesterday. We had Arthur on the program today. Hakeem Jeffries, that some of you disagree with me, which is fine. I thought both sides were wrong there. I thought Hakeem Jeffries didn't handle it right, and I thought Lawler was an absolute clown who got what he wanted. You gave Lawler what he wanted. He wanted a charade, and that's what you got. We're talking about that, and we're talking about Mike Johnson continuing to lie and the Republicans continuing to lie to the American people while on Newsmax they're selling Donald Trump watches. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. I'll tell you what, why don't we start off with line 1, and let's go to Mike. Mike is first up on PTL. What's up, Mike? Mike, lower your radio. Mike, lower your radio if you can, please. What's up, Mike? No problem.
Tennessee. Our #1 cash crop here is soybeans. Our farmers are being decimated this year. There's people going to lose their farms. And I know for a fact that there are still a bunch of those same people who are getting destroyed, are about to lose their livelihoods. They're going to lose their land. And they would still turn around and vote Republican in the next election. I know that this upcoming vote that's in our 7th district is going to be we're going to be lucky if it's a close race, because we tend to have one of the worst voter turnouts in the country.
Mike, do you know why we're having such problems with soybeans? Do you know what's causing the soybean market to go?
Oh yeah, it's absolutely the tariffs.
It's the that's exactly right. That's exactly right. 70% of the world buy our soybeans.
That's the sad part about it. My main point that I said that to say this whole thing with the bickering back and forth and the Jeffries thing, where he, the commenter that talked about, is this WWE or what? When you're dealing with the MAGA base, the ones that are never going to change, the ones who are they may be a minority, but they're a very tight knit minority. There's maybe a few we might be able to convince to come over to the other side and push back against this fascism. But a lot of them, we're never going to get their support.
Okay, so Mike, I agree. So Mike, let me just interject real quick. I agree with what you're saying. If you don't mind, because I enjoy having conversations, particularly with intelligent people like yourself, on what part you disagree with me on, which I think is great. I like having.
What's the 1%?
So what do you necessarily, Mike, disagree with me on that I've said today? If you don't mind me asking.
I don't necessarily disagree with anything, man. I think that part of the reason that Jeffries did what he did was because he's finally starting to he's under a lot of pressure, so he's trying to show his voter base and people who might be reachable that they're willing to step up and do.
So, Mike, I agree with Mike. I hear you, Mike. I hear what you're saying. All I'm simply saying, I hear you.
To convince a cohort of people who.
But it was kind of a swing and a miss.
So, Mike,
root for the heel.
Mike, I hear what you're saying. Okay, I hear you.
Yes.
But here's where we might disagree a little bit. I think there's a better way of doing it than the way he did it, because that's exactly what Lawler wanted. It's exactly what he wanted.
Agree.
So why is Lawler? Yeah, you hear what I'm saying. So why is Lawler doing that? He's doing it because he wants it to be a charade. He wants to make a name for himself. He wants to get out there.
Pull the attention off the real issues.
Right. And Hakeem Jeffries gave in. Now, I want a fighter. I get what you're saying. I want Hakeem Jeffries, but there's a better way of doing it. He could have held another press conference today, and instead of doing some podcasts, left-leaning podcast, I would say the same thing about if he came on my show. I'd love to have him on, but there are more productive things to do. Hold a press conference in the chambers today. Talk about Lawler. Talk about more about what the Republicans are trying to do and what you guys are trying to do, instead of screaming at somebody in the halls of Congress. That's the point that I'm trying to make.
He has a bully pulpit.
Yeah.
And he can make people listen.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah, so there you go. I think it's more 99.9% of the time you agree with me.
I'll take 0.01%. I'll take that all day long.
Thank you, Mike. I'm giving you a hard time. I appreciate the call. We all agree here on that, right, Leonard? We agree.
I think he kind of got his emotions and his thoughts mixed up. They want bravado. They want me to step up to them, but in that manner that was more theatrical than it was substantive.
I can relate.
And what
to
people
that.
want is they want policy.
Yes.
Stand up to them with policy.
Yes.
Stand up to them with ideas and thoughts and a plan on how you're gonna. You disagree, but how are you going to fight it?
Yes,
that's what I think people want.
I don't like giving too many compliments to Leonard, but Lori on the YouTube super chat said, Leonard, you're going to do a great job when Brian is taking time out.
I hope so.
Thanks to all the PTL family that care for democracy. Thank you, Lori, for your support. I'm sure Leonard will do great. 702-221-7283. Let's go to X. X is next up on PTL. Hey, X, it's always a lively conversation with you. What's going on? Hi, X.
Hello.
What's going on? I'm doing okay, X. What's going on today? What's on your mind?
Hey, what I wanted to ask you for is, like, to just see what happened, with all this yelling and stuff like that in Congress. This is embarrassing.
Yeah, I agree.
With all this Congress
I agree.
Let
me ask you a question. And again, I agree with you. I've given my opinions on accountability to both sides here in that argument, debate, whatever you want to call it. Who do you think is doing more of that these days, the left or the right?
What do you mean?
I mean exactly what I mean. Who do you think is doing more yelling and disrespect and games and showboating? The left or the right?
Who's being the bully?
Both? Give me an example of Democrats being bullies.
A bully. Yeah, please.
Oh, like that Jimmy Gomez guy, who said, when they go low, we kick them down. That's what he said from Orange County, the Democrat.
Okay, give me an example of Democrats that are bullying. Can you give me
any example?
Because I could give you 100 examples of Republicans that are bullying, including with the leader of the free world, Donald Trump, who does it every single day, threatening to put people in jail.
Threatening their jobs, their
threatening
livelihood.
their job. Right, exactly. Leonard said exactly. Can you give me an example of a Democrat bullying Republicans in the last, I don't know, year?
Isn't that bullying? Jimmy Gomez. We kick them down.
Who?
Jimmy Gomez, Democrat.
Who? Say that again. Who is he saying?
Jimmy Gomez.
Jimmy Gomez?
Okay, yeah. I don't know who that is.
He said when they go low, we kick them down. He said that.
Okay, but that's saying that you want to fight. That's saying when they fight us, we are going to fight back.
I'll say that. There's nothing wrong with saying that.
That's not the definition of bullying. It means we are going to fight harder than you for the American people. That's not bullying. Okay, Donald Trump has violence. No, it's not. If
someone comes on the show and goes low with Brian, and someone gets in the dirt with Brian, what Brian is saying is, yes, I'm going to stand up for myself. I'm going to fight back. That is not a bully. That is not the definition of a bully.
Did you just say that's inciting violence? Is that what you just said?
Inciting violence.
I know you said his name 5 times. It doesn't make your point any stronger. You said that's inciting violence?
Yes, it is.
Okay, well, that's absolutely ridiculous. What would you say about Donald Trump, who says he hates half the country at Charlie Kirk's funeral service? What would you say to that? What would you say to that?
Every time with Donald Trump, I'm not going to.
Because you give horrible examples and I give clear examples. When somebody says when they go low, we're going to go lower. That's not inciting violence.
Hyperbole. That's not even legitimate. That's not even a legitimate statement.
You haven't given me any real examples of a Democrat bullying a Republican. That was a terrible example. So I'm going to ask you now. The leader of the free world, the leader of the Republican Party, at Charlie Kirk's funeral says he wishes the worst on his opponents and basically said he hates half the country. Why won't you call that out?
Follow it up with hurting them.
And you say some guy that I've never heard of before that you claim made a statement when they go low, we're going to go lower, which, by the way, is not inciting violence. Okay, well, why is it every single time I bring up the actual leader of the Republican Party, you get defensive and you say, why is it every time you bring up Donald Trump? I'll tell you why. Because he's the president of the United States. He's the insulter in chief. He's dividing the country. He's treating people who might come from areas like garbage. Where are you from, sir? Where are you originally from? X, where are you originally from? Where are you originally from? Iranian. Do you think that Donald Trump is doing a good job in protecting people who might sound like you and look like you?
He sent the military to Democratic states to bully them with tear gas and rubber pellets. He sent the military to bully people physically, violently.
X, I'm not asking you about, I could care less what Mike Pence says. I'm asking you now. Mike, I need you to focus. I could care less what that stiff Mike Pence says about anything, okay? I'm asking you now, X, okay? You are from Iran. Do you think that Donald Trump has been good for the Iranian people and immigrants in general? Yes or no?
As far as the border goes,
nope, I didn't ask about the border. I didn't ask about
the relationship.
Let's start that question again, and then he hangs up the phone again because he doesn't know how to debate.
Typical MAGA.
Here's the question that
they have no argument, no talk. Here's just talking points. There's no sense.
Here's the question that I was trying to ask X, which he didn't answer. He said he's from Iran. I said, do you think Donald Trump has done a good job for the Iranian people? And he says, the border. I didn't ask him about the border. I asked him, is he doing a good job? By the way, last I checked, Donald Trump is the guy who dumped bombs.
They bombed him.
Into
They bombed Iran.
Okay, that's the guy that I checked. That last time I checked, and the guy that X brings up is some guy serving California's 24th district, a very, very small community in California, and that's his example. When I give the example of Donald Trump, who happens to be the president of the United States, he brings up some assemblyman or some guy who is, I don't know, some 24th district person, and he says when they go low, they go lower, and that's his example of the left and the right doing the exact same thing.
Not somebody. And can I say something on Iran?
I just want to say one more thing about X, which is don't call into this show if you're going to hang up like the coward that you are.
Yeah, be prepared with an argument. And can I say something about Iran? Because Donald Trump is taking credit for obliterating their nuclear program and the uranium and et cetera. And Iran came out with a statement. And you know what they said? They said, yeah, you damaged what we were working on, but we still have the technology. What does that mean to you, Brian?
Of course.
What were they? What is the dog whistle?
Because it was a failure, and they had a couple. We talked about this on the show. They had 48 hours to prepare. It's why we have video of our own intelligence showing trucks that were leaving the facility. What do you think were in those trucks? No, the MAGA Republicans don't want to talk about that because it was a disaster. And this guy has the gall to call into the show and talk about some guy in the 24th district of California that said when they go low, we go lower. And he makes that comparison to Donald Trump and the hate speech from the far right. It's a joke. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Isaacar. Isaacar is next up on PTL. Hello, Isaacar.
Hey, what's going on, Brian? What's going on, Landon?
Hey, Isaacar.
Hope y'all having a good day.
Terrific day.
Yeah, I'm not even going to regard X and stuff like that because what he said, I don't know what he said. He can speak clearly enough to articulate his point, but that's besides the point. I just wanted to call because I heard, earlier where you played the part where Mike Johnson said that the reason why he couldn't swear in Adelita is her name?
Yep.
Yeah, the reason why he couldn't swear in is because the government shut down.
That's nonsense.
So he couldn't do it. But he's lying though because
of pro forma
won her seat before the shutdown even occurred. And I remember her saying that she was going to go ahead and fly out to D.C. to get sworn in, but because they won't let her do it because they decided to say, you know what, we're just going to go ahead and shut this thing down.
Well, I'll give you another example. Isaacar, you're 150% correct, Isaacar. Hang on, sorry to interrupt you, but a couple months ago, under similar circumstances where there was nobody in D.C., they swore in 2 Republicans.
I believe it was April.
Yeah, in April. They did it several months ago. And then Mike Johnson was asked about that on CNN, and Mike Johnson, I didn't know about that. How did you not know about that? You're the House Speaker.
He's the Speaker of the House. And they were asking him they weren't randomly asking him a gotcha question. They were asking him about a relevant question that he wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
There's only one reason, Isaacar, there's only one reason why they won't swear that lady in, one reason only, and it's the Epstein files.
Absolutely.
Because as soon as she gets sworn in, she said she's going to be the 218th vote, and then it gets interesting.
Then it gets dicey. Go ahead, Isaacar. You were about to.
I just want you to say yes, absolutely. And the thing is too, I just want to say this: do not be surprised if they're going to do everything they can to try to redact some names, to try to protect some people, even if she does go ahead and sign everything. Do not be surprised if they try to pull some trick. I mean, as of right now, I think they're trying to do something.
You're right, but you have to start where the fight is, right, Isaacar?
And right,
you have to start where the fight is.
Right, and the thing is, if everything comes out and everything is exposed, I'm telling you right now.
Wait, but
it's gonna be
bad. I agree with you.
I agree, but you're not. I don't think he's talking about the same tricks that Lauren Boebert was able to do at a Beetlejuice play. I don't think he's talking about those kind of tricks. Thank you for the call.
And a lot of things might happen,
digress,
Brian, but you still have to get to the starting point is the 218th vote. That's the starting point, regardless of what they're going to do afterwards. We'll fight that later.
Yep. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Siobhan. Siobhan is next up on PTL. Hi, Siobhan.
I'm sorry. I'm Siobhan. I had to run somewhere. This is her boyfriend. I got 3 things I wanted to talk to y'all about.
Wait, hold on. I'm confused. You mean
did you take over the phone?
Your girlfriend called me, and you're. Is that
Yeah,
what? Okay, that's okay.
She ain't gonna do something.
That's fair.
So I know what she wants.
Okay.
I know what she wants to talk about.
Fair enough. Go ahead. What's your name, sir? What's your name?
Chad.
All right, Chad. What's on your mind? Go right ahead.
Okay, first thing I want to know if y'all heard about Representative Gillette threatening Japal, I think her name is. So he wanted to hang her.
Yeah.
He wanted to hang her.
Yep.
Then
Yep.
then sent by fire squad, and then they said something about she couldn't get mad because she ain't black, so it wasn't.
Yeah, who
racist.
incites violence?
Yeah.
Which side?
By the way, I did hear about that. And to answer your question, we have somebody named Sigal Chattah who ran for office as a Republican for Attorney General. And when she was running for office, she said that she wanted her African-American black opponent, who is now the Attorney General, who is a really good man, hanging from a crane. These are what the Republicans do. This is the language that they use. And let me tell you something else, and you probably already know this. When they use the term DEI hire, it is a code word.
Black people.
It's a code word for the N-word for the Republican
And
Party.
it's a code word for racism.
That's exactly what it is. Go right ahead, sir.
That's exactly. And I wanted to know, did you hear about the Mike Johnson, the grinder?
Oh yeah,
I don't think
some guy came out and
I don't know if that's
I don't know if that was
Listen,
accurate or not, but it was funny.
Here's
as hell.
here's what I will say to that. Okay, I don't know if that's true. Here's what I do know: the people on the far right, especially evangelical right Christians, the ones that are, and I think Leonard will agree with me on this. We'll find out.
They call themselves
the ones that are most anti-gay and call homosexuality a sin. They're anti-gay marriage, are usually the ones that are closeted themselves. I'll leave it at that. I don't know what Mike Johnson's sexuality is. I think it's up in the air. I don't really care. All I know is that a lot of these MAGA Republicans are hypocrites.
Yeah, like I said, Christian, in the Bible, it says, love thy neighbor. It says, you are your brother's keeper. It says, do not bear. How about Mike Johnson? Can you bear false witness against your neighbor? Is that not in the Ten Commandments that they swear by?
I'm going to be very honest with you, Leonard. Maybe I'm a matchmaker today. I don't know.
Oh, yes.
But I think Mike Johnson and who was the other guy that I was going to mention on the right? Why am I forgetting his name now? I don't know why I am. It'll come to me as soon enough. But I am a matchmaker, ladies and gentlemen. And I will say to
Lindsey
you that,
Graham?
yes, that's the person who I was thinking of. I was going to say George Santos, but he's behind bars right now. I think Lindsey Graham.
They can only have conjugal visits with him.
Yes, that's true. That's true. He's in solitary confinement. Are they giving him those type of visits? I don't know.
No, if this, if it's somebody,
let's look into that.
Somebody powerful with a lot of money can,
Let's look into that. But Mike Johnson and Lindsey Graham, I think, would make an excellent couple. I think they would have mutual attraction, and I think they share the same lack of a moral compass. So I think they do have a lot in common, and they both wear the Donald Trump knee pads 24/7. Let's get back to the phone calls. 702-221-7283.
We digressed a little bit.
Yeah, we did a little bit here. Let's go to Bruce. Bruce is next up on PTL. Hey, Bruce, what's going on?
Hey, how are you?
Good. What's on your mind?
I'd just like to give you a quote. It's actually from one of my favorite sci-fi shows, but it goes like this. In no time in human history has the fate of so many depended on so few. And you guys are the few. So thank you for standing up to do the job.
That sounds like a compliment.
Well,
Thank you.
that's nice of you to say. I really do appreciate that, my friend. Thank you so much for that. That was very nice. 702-221-7283. I'm very, very, very uncomfortable with compliments. Let's go to Chris. Chris is next up on PTL. What's up, Chris? What's going on, man? Thanks for calling in. What's up, Chris? Go right ahead. Chris?
Hey, am I on?
Hey, yeah, go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, man? I actually just started listening to your show not too long ago. You guys do great. Love you both.
Thanks,
Chris. I actually heard an analogy that kind of sums up like the government shutdown. If I could share that with you guys, if you could just give me a second.
Sure.
Is that cool?
Sure.
Okay. So as we know, there's a well-established law on the books that murder is illegal, right?
Right.
Right. So let's just say there wasn't, and somebody gets murdered, and Trump and the Republicans come up with a bill that makes murder illegal. But in the bill, there's a provision that defunds the police. And Democrats are like, hey, we're not signing this because we don't want to defund the police. And then the Republicans come out to the media and they say, hey, guys, look, the Democrats are okay with murder.
Right, because if there's no police, you can make murder legal and there'd be nobody to arrest them. That's a pretty good analogy, I would say.
But that's really all. Love the show, guys.
Thank you.
Keep
Appreciate
up the good
that.
work.
Thank you for the call. Good call.
Yeah,
702.
that was a pretty good analogy.
Yeah, I agree. 702-221-7283. Andrea is next up on PTL. Hello, Andrea. Andrea, are you there?
Andrea?
Yes.
Yeah, hi. Go right ahead.
Okay. Hello?
Yes,
Hi,
go right
Andrea.
ahead.
Oh, okay. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yep.
No, it just boils down to this. The Republican Party of today, or known as the MAGA Party, is willing to lie, steal, and cheat for their own agenda. They don't care about the American people. They haven't for years.
Well, I agree. And this is a point that I bring up on the show a lot, which is way before Donald Trump ever got into office, Republicans, maybe not MAGA Republicans, but Republicans were trying to take away your health care. They were trying to take the argument they make with health care is very similar to the argument they make with unemployment benefits, with welfare, and with food stamps. They've been doing this for a very, very long time. The bottom line is they really don't care about people that are struggling. They don't care about their constituents. Many of them Republicans, by the way.
No empathy, no compassion.
Right. They're struggling. They're living paycheck to paycheck, and they take away almost, or they attempt to take away almost every single government program, and they call themselves pro-life. They're anti-life. They're anti-abortion. It doesn't mean that
they're pro-birth.
Well, yeah,
pro-birth.
exactly. I was just going to say that. And once a baby is born, they'll take away a simple government program like maternity leave. I mean, it's a joke.
They're not pro-life. They're pro-birth.
I know. And you can't talk to these people. I've tried.
No,
and
you
then
can't.
I just get more frustrated and more angry. And it doesn't accomplish anything.
You ask these people can't even answer what are the three branches of government. These people can't. They can't even name one policy they like under Donald Trump. They'll say, "I like his immigration policy," and I say, "What's that policy? Do people not have the right to due process? How about citizens that are being deported? How about citizens that are being arrested? How about people that are granted asylum and then they're arrested? And they don't even know what it says in our Constitution. And I even get arguments. That moron, Jack Posobiec, when I was debating him on Piers Morgan, I said, what does it say in our Constitution? Doesn't it say any person has the right to due process?
He didn't know.
And the dumbass, and that's what he is, by the way. He's a dumbass. And he tried to argue that I was
He started
wrong.
talking about citizens, and you said, no, that's not what it
That's
says.
not what
It doesn't
says.
say citizens.
They're willing to rip up our Constitution.
Due process is for everyone.
And they want to talk about law and order. Did you guys see Kristi Noem do her little cosplay outfit out there in Portland? There were literally 5 people in front of that building that were peaceful protesters with a sign. And then there were 8 people with cameras that are members of the media. And she stands on top of that building looking down like cosplay Kristi can do. Keep the puppies away from her, by the way. It was so embarrassing. And then that guy, Nick Sortor, is like 3 feet away from her with his stupid cell phone. She looked like such the imbecile that she is out there in Portland. It's such a joke what is going on in this country right now. And these morons that are in the Trump administration, it's getting worse and worse by the day. And I just can't take it anymore. I'm going to explode.
Andrea, can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Are you still there?
Yes, I am.
So they say they hate social programs, which is kind of where you were going with your first thought. But what they don't realize is, don't they realize that taxes that pay for streets that they drive on is a social program?
No.
And street lights and calling 911 when there's a fire and building parks and maintaining parks. They love the parks. They love to go down to the lake. But they don't want to pay any taxes. And that is a social program.
But they don't see it that way. They're just focused on like one thing, and that's it.
Listen, I agree.
You know, and unfortunately, the Republican Party has been dumbing down this country. They want to take away history.
They said straight out they want to get rid of education. They want to do trade jobs. They want to open more trade schools. They want less education. They admitted that.
You know, and I'm being reminded by somebody in the YouTube super chat that I guess there was a chicken out there. Somebody dressed up as a chicken, and I don't know. Maybe Kristi Noem is accusing that chicken of being transgender, which would make that chicken may or may not be more dangerous. I don't know, but what a joke! These people are so.
Maybe it was Robbie Roadsteamer.
By the way, Robbie, I'm going to be hanging out with Robbie here in Vegas.
Oh no way! You got it.
He's coming out here.
He's a good guy.
He might come in. I'll have him bring his guitar too. But this is just embarrassing. Did you see the press conference yesterday? Or I don't know, these so-called fake journalists and counterterrorism experts that were talking to Donald Trump about what's going on in Portland. Nick Sorto and Katie Daviscourt and Jack Posobiec. And Nick Sorto says, I took this American flag from somebody who was trying to burn it. Wow, you're really a patriot. What a hero. I mean, what an embarrassment this administration is, and how cringeworthy was that press conference yesterday and that discussion that they had. As if
it was very cringy.
As if Jack Posobiec and Nick Sorto are experts, counterterrorism experts that the Donald Trump administration uses to combat Antifa. I mean, it's just such
they
a
wear
joke.
the Donald Trump knee pads 24/7.
Oh my God, it's such a joke. All right, let's see who we going to next here. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Brett. Brett is next up on PTL. Hi, Brett.
Hey, what's happening, Leonard, Brian?
Hey, Brett.
I got to disagree with you about Jeffries. I'm just happy that he seemed to have found his balls at all. I mean, these guys, they've been so weak for so long and been walked on, stepped on, lied to. They got to take the gloves off and take this fight.
But we're not bagging on him for what he did. What we're saying is it didn't move the needle. It didn't advance the ball. It didn't get into people's heads. And this is our policy and this is our direction. And I'm a leader.
So
that's what we're saying.
Let me try to take
Leonard, I get
Brett,
that. It didn't move the. Go ahead.
Okay, hang on. Just hear me out on this, Brett. I'm going to try to take a different approach with this. I understand what you are saying about wanting Democrats to fight.
Me too.
There's a lot of people that want that. I'm glad that Hakeem Jeffries has found a little bit of fight. Okay, that's great. But what I look at is what are you accomplishing by doing that? And I can tell you right now, there are no Republicans that are going to look at what Hakeem Jeffries did and say, wow, I see the light. This isn't their fault. This is the Republicans' fault. That should be the objective right now. And I think, as you claim, well, I'm glad that Hakeem Jeffries, for lack of a better term, found his balls. Okay.
Me too.
There are better ways of doing it than that way. That's all I am trying to say.
I agree, but do you really believe that they want good conversations behind closed doors? You really think that they care?
He didn't say that. He said that would be more appropriate.
Hold on. Let me respond to that. And let me just say this. It's not about what the Republicans in office really want. This is, to me, more about the American people. There are people that watch Newsmax and Fox News and OAN or whatever other crap that they watch, and they believe the Republicans because some of them are very unintelligent. And when the Republicans say this is Chuck Schumer's shutdown, they believe it. It is the objective, I believe, of Hakeem Jeffries and Democrat leadership to help convince and do not distort any facts and explain to people in this country, both Republican and independents, and even some Democrats maybe, of why we are in this situation and what Republicans refuse to do. And when you have Hakeem Jeffries, okay, maybe he found his balls, as you said, screaming at Lawler. And yes, Lawler did look like a clown. I'm saying there are better ways to use the power that you have, and I don't believe that Hakeem Jeffries did that yesterday. And today he's going on left-leaning podcasts. What Hakeem Jeffries should do is he should be going on Fox News today. He should be going on Newsmax today instead of left-leaning podcasts and explain to the viewers what the Democrats are trying to do.
Present the argument on the other side.
Going on a left-leaning podcast is not going to help convince Republicans. That's what he should be doing. And even if you're right, my friend, and that there are most Republicans do not want to have good faith conversation with Democrats, even if that might be true, which it probably is, that doesn't mean that Jeffries can't be doing other things for the American people to convince the people that may still believe that this is a Chuck Schumer shutdown. Do you see where I'm going at there?
Absolutely. He's still soft, and this is a step in the right direction that he's willing, to go up there and read letters, for 24 hours straight. You want to talk about it didn't move the needle. No, it didn't move the needle, but it showed that they're willing to fight, that they have some kind of nuts, that they're willing to at least,
respectfully.
No, I agree, but
I don't. Here's where I disagree. And then Leonard, finish your thoughts. Sorry to interrupt you, but I disagree. It might show that Hakeem Jeffries might have shown that, but it doesn't show that Chuck Schumer has or others. Am I wrong in saying that?
Well, I agree that it looked like he was standing up, but only in appearance. What we're saying is what we need is a leader to have a side-by-side argument, and when the Republicans make an argument, our leader in the House of Representatives needs to put another argument next to it so that when people are listening to the entire argument, they can decide for themselves. They could say, oh, the Republicans said this, and you can yell back and say, don't interrupt me, and get, huffy puffy. And I get that some people like that moment. And I did like the moment because it looked like he was standing up. But what we're saying is you need something substantive as a leader and say, this is the direction we're taking.
Let me tell you something. I agree. Let me tell you something. What I think Hakeem Jeffries should do today, besides holding another press conference, call out Sean Hannity. Hey, Sean, why don't you have me on your show? Hey, Laura Ingraham, Jesse Waters, Matt Gaetz, why don't you have me on your show tonight? I will do a 15-minute interview with you, and I will explain to you all why you are wrong and you are giving fake information.
And if they say no, call them out, right, Brian?
It's
and
not
if they
hard.
say no, call them out. Say, I called Laura Ingraham. She said she does not want to have me on the show. I called Fox News. I called News Nation. I asked them to have me on. And that's why I'm on this podcast, because it's the only place where I can have a voice.
Now, listen, Kim on the YouTube Super Chat says Fox won't invite Jeffries on. All right, well, if that's true, call them out.
Yes.
What Hakeem Jeffries,
that's what we're saying.
That would be more productive. Hakeem Jeffries in front of the camera holding a press conference. I don't want Chuck Schumer doing these interviews, but I'd be comfortable with Hakeem Jeffries doing these interviews. Call out Fox News. Call out Newsmax.
They refuse to have me. They refuse to have me. They refuse to have me. So this is the only way that I can present to the people.
It's a win-win. Because if they don't have you on, then you can call them cowards. And if they do have you on, you get to share your message with those Fox News right-wing listeners and give them the facts. It's a win-win, but why won't Kim Jeffries yelling at Lawler is not going to accomplish anything? Hold a press conference and say, Sean Hannity, have me on your program today. That's what I would do.
Bill Maher says that he invites Dems on all the time and they refuse to come. I don't believe him.
I don't believe him.
I don't believe him at all.
No, I don't believe anything Bill
He's
Maher
having
says
people
these
like
days.
Scott Jennings and a lot of people very far on the right on his show, and I think he's just playing to the Republican audience.
I tend to agree with you on that. I don't believe anything Bill Maher says these days. All right, let's get back to the phone calls. Let's go to Tyrone. Tyrone is next up on PTL. Hi, Tyrone.
Oh, hey, how you doing, Brian?
Good. What's on your mind today?
Good. Hey, listen, I haven't called in a while, but I've been listening to the show. I don't know how you put up with some of these morons.
It's okay. We don't mind.
And Lenny, hey, I don't know how you put up with these morons that they either drank so much Kool-Aid that they can't see straight, or they're just blatant liars.
It's in my training. As a police officer, we have to put up with all kinds of people. It's just the way we're trained.
It's awful. And I'm looking at him with this deployment of the National Guard to these cities. He's just waiting for somebody to do something.
Exactly.
And it doesn't have to be anything deadly. It could, somebody could throw a bottle.
Right, the
or,
troops are the aggressors, are they not? They go into those areas, they push people back, they gas them, they shoot them with rubber pellets. Who's escalating it? Who's causing the violence? And then when the people respond, they go, oh, look at that. They threw a bottle at me. Am I right?
Right. And you're right. But here's the thing. I work down in D.C. I live in Baltimore, right? They are not in the hardcore areas of those cities. They are not. They're in the tourist, suburban type, metropolitan areas. They are not in the hood. They are not in the hood.
I agree.
Why do you think that is? Do you think that it's all show and no go? You think that's what they're doing?
It's all sizzle and no steak. That's what we call it in sales, right?
All sizzle, no steak.
And yeah, it's all sizzle, no steak. Well, that's how a steakhouse works. They have those exhaust vents that pump out the smoke from the steak.
That's funny.
But it could smell like a ribeye, but it's a sirloin.
I like a ribeye. I prefer a ribeye.
I'm a ribeye guy.
So I just want to announce
digress.
this because this is breaking news. Thank you for the call, sir. This is breaking news, and it shows you the hypocrisy from the right. First of all, Letitia James has just been indicted by a grand jury for alleged bank fraud. What was Donald Trump convicted of?
Mortgage fraud. 34 counts of different kinds of fraud.
And after he was convicted, by the way, I'm not saying Letitia James is going to be convicted. I have no idea. But if in fact she is convicted, Republicans will have a heyday with that, right?
Yeah, that's what they're looking for. They're on the revenge tour.
Donald Trump's a 34-count felon who falsified business records. Byron Donaldson, who could be the next governor of Florida, right? Pled guilty to bank fraud. But they're going after Letitia James now. So every single time They want to talk about Letitia James. I'm going to talk about Donald Trump, who falsified business records, who's a 34-count felon, who they support. And I'll talk about Byron Donalds, who was an ass-kissing MAGA Republican fool who pled guilty to
Brian,
bank
let me
fraud.
just say, while you're on that subject, not to interrupt you, but if you or I did that, we'd still be in prison. Anything that Donald Trump did, those 34 counts of felony fraud and the charges, you and I would have been there for years and years and years. And yet they voted for him to be president.
You're right.
Doesn't that say a lot about one half of America?
Agree. So if they want to talk about Letitia James, bring up Byron Donalds, bring up Ken Paxton, bring up Donald Trump, and sit this one out, you MAGA fools. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. And by the way, again, I am not saying that Letitia James is guilty. Okay. Donald Trump is. He's a 34-count felon. Byron Donalds pled guilty. Ken Paxton guilty. Let's go to Jason. Jason is next up on PTL. Hey, Jason, what's going on? Hi, Jason.
Hey, how you doing? Hey,
Jason.
so this is going to be uncomfortable because this is the second time within 2 weeks that we have to disagree. First of all, he's from Brooklyn, so he better represent number one. Number two, you got to remember, Rob Lawler is the one that was in the House committee and went to fight somebody. So we already know what kind of clown he is. But more than anything, if he looked weak, the Democrats would have been against him. And he looked strong, the Republicans would have called him the D. Just think about if you would have really went irate. They would have called him a D. So he had no choice but to stand up in front of the public and look strong. But other than that, more than anything, remember, Lawler is the one that
What I'm simply saying is, if he'd held a press conference today and offered to go on Sean Hannity's show or go on a far right-wing network that has a lot of listeners, I think to explain the side that they are on right now, I think it would do more justice than yelling a couple things at Lawler. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, but this is what I want to say. Look, right now, Hakeem is the strongest one because if you look at all the ones in the Senate, they're all heads. They need to go. Nancy Pelosi.
All of them. I agree. All of them.
And that cat from Chicago, Pam Bundy, made him look so illiterate and stupid while telling them that somebody, Catherine Pell is going to Chicago and you're sitting here. So the old people that are sitting up in the Senate.
Dick Durbin? Are you talking about Durbin? I think you're talking about Durbin, right?
Yes. Yeah, Durbin. He looked like a moron letting Pam Bundy outsmart him when she can't even outsmart a crap.
Okay, so Jason, here's where I agree with you on this. I believe, number one, they should have never let Pam Bondi talk over them, attack them personally. And I think a few of those people allowed it to happen. Now, listen, the person who's got the gavel should be the person that would stop it. But, of course, that person didn't do it because they're a Republican. But, Jason, I agree with you 100% there. Dick Durbin looked weak, okay, and other Democrats at times looked weak. The appropriate thing is, Ms. Bondi, stop talking. You are the one that is being asked questions. You are not here to attack people. I'm here to ask you a question. And then I would look at all the Republicans and say, what are we doing right now? We have someone who is the attorney general who's supposed to be answering questions, and instead they have notes put forth in front of them, probably from the president, it wouldn't shock me, to insult every one of these Democrats. This is a charade. And I would look her in the eye and I would say, you either answer my question, yes or no, or this is a waste of time and you're a disgrace. That would have been the appropriate time for somebody to use some of that fight, not screaming. This is where we disagree. Not screaming at somebody like a Lawler. Do it in those hearings.
What about Adam Schiff? Adam Schiff stood up pretty well. He went right down the line and he embarrassed her and he didn't raise his voice. Yeah. He didn't yell. He didn't say, don't interrupt me.
If you notice,
he went right down the list.
If you notice, I didn't bring up his name, but I would absolutely say that Durbin did not do a good job. And
he was taken aback a little bit when she got aggressive with him.
Let's go to Kim. Kim is next up on PTL. What's up, Kim?
Hey, I kind of off the wall thing I wanted to ask Leonard. My granddaughter is 9 and now afraid of the police. And I told her good police don't wear masks. But she's still, I'm afraid we're losing a generation. that are going to be
What do you mean? Because
afraid.
she's been exposed to that and she thinks it's somewhat normal now? Is that what you're asking?
Because she's seen it on TV.
Well, you can tell her from me that we were not allowed to wear masks, and we had to have our name on our uniform and our badge and what they call our personnel number, our badge number. We had to advise someone they were being arrested, what they were being arrested for. We could not stop someone unless it was consensual or we had reasonable suspicion that they committed a crime or they were about to commit a crime. And let me tell you, if I was part of any of this, part of ICE in any law enforcement capacity, I would have to resign because I would never advocate my guys going out on the road with ski masks on, refusing to identify themselves and using force on people who are there. One girl was filming them with her phone and they went up and sprayed her with pepper spray. That is illegal, in my opinion, and it's a violation of civil rights.
Oh, absolutely.
So you
But,
tell her
you know,
that is not the real police. That's what you tell her.
well, I did. I said the good ones don't wear masks. And
well, because they're not afraid to show their faces, my dear. That's why. And I completely 100% agree with you. And these cowards across the country that are tackling some documented, some undocumented immigrants are people that didn't get enough attention when they were in high school. It's kind of like the guy who has the small pecker, for lack of a better term, that buys a red sports car. You know, like
small hands.
Yeah, exactly. So who has small hands?
Tiny hands.
Who's that guy?
Sausage fingers.
Yeah, exactly.
Chubby sausage
Who
fingers.
would that guy be? Yeah, but of course, there's no problem here. There's no problem.
Believe me, I got that area taken care of. Did
All
he
right.
say something like that?
I think he did. Let's go
That's
to
not what
Miss
Stormy
Johnson.
said.
Miss Johnson's next on PTL. Hi, Miss Johnson.
Hey, Brian, how you doing today?
Good.
Just a couple of things. I think Hakeem Jeffries should hook up with Chris Murphy. He's a Democrat he's a Democrat.
Chris Murphy's very
and
smart.
He was the young man who exposed Donald Trump's corruption for the first 100 years. So I think if we had him, we would get a whole lot of things exposed because Chris Murphy is awesome. And then the other thing I wanted to say, I didn't get an invite from you last night when you went to dinner.
Brian.
Did I go to dinner last night? Oh, yes, that's right.
Did you not shoot her a text?
I did do that. Next time. I'm
Well,
sorry, my dear.
anyway.
Next time, my dear.
Keep
We'll
up the
go to
good work.
Chippendales
I
next
love
time.
you.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate
Thanks, Miss Johnson.
Let's go to Gabrielle. Gabrielle is next up on PTL. Hello, Gabrielle.
Hey, Brian. Hey, Lawler. How are
Hi,
you
Gabrielle.
guys all doing?
Good.
What's on your mind?
So X is not a bright the caller that is named X that is from Iran or Iranian. You're not that very bright. So
He's talking about X being not very bright.
Yeah, he's not that very bright, so he's a maggot. So that explains why. In regards to, here's two more things. Donald Trump and Bibi Netanyahu are not even done with Iran. They're still going to do regime change, maybe in about 2 years, but they're still not done. And one more thing, do you think here's another thing. Iran is gonna build nuclear weapons because they realize they don't want to get messed with Israel or the United States. Look at what North Korea has. They have multiple nuclear weapons, and we have to do regime change against them.
Yeah, Iran
But
has no
here's-
intention of not enriching uranium and trying to come up with nuclear weapons. I think they made that very clear. Thank you for the call, though. That was good information.
Thank you,
Gabriel.
sir. Appreciate the call. Thank you, Stuart D, for your YouTube super chat donation. Let's go to Vaughn. Vaughn is next up on PTL. Hello, Vaughn.
Hello, I'm calling because, listen, you just had a caller call in, and he said something about ICE not being in the hood. Can I get this straight? All black neighborhoods are not bad neighborhoods.
Yeah, I don't think that.
I want to get this straight because he sounded like a black man that called in, and it's kind of like a saying all.
Vaughn, I'm 100% on your side. I grew up in a.
I know you're not. No. I'm not saying you or Leonard that way.
Yeah. No, I know what
I'm
you're saying.
There is black people.
I agree.
Like
Well,
Black
let-
Mega
Okay, well,
let me tell you something, Vaughn.
Hold on a
Black
second.
neighborhoods and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah, let's be careful with our language because we can't use that
Oh.
word. I grew up in a predominantly black neighborhood myself.
Right.
And I was treated great. And I still talk to people that I went to elementary school with. So I completely agree with you. Maybe that's not what this person meant.
I couldn't believe he said that.
Well, obviously,
because he act like all black neighborhoods are bad, and I'm thinking, wow.
You could go to some all white neighborhoods that are bad as well. So it could go either way. So
Well, look, can I tell her
I wouldn't want to
something,
live. I wouldn't want to live in a neighborhood filled of MAGA people.
Yeah, that'd be the worst neighborhood.
Right, because they're over policed. You know, black neighborhoods are completely over policed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me tell you something, Vaughn, because I was a police officer for 25 years, and I retired as a lieutenant, and I worked many, they call it the West Side in Las Vegas, and I worked many black neighborhoods, and I can tell you from experience, the greater majority of people in the black neighborhoods really, really like the police. They love our presence. I can't tell you how many grandmothers and grandfathers and mothers told us, we love when you're here, we love your presence. And it was only a handful of people who were bad people who made it seem like they didn't want the police there. But overwhelmingly, they appreciated us being there, and they told us so, and they thanked us.
Who's the guy who thinks, I think his name is Jason Aldean, that says those
F around in a neighborhood?
Those small neighborhoods are the good, wholesome people. Try that in a small town. Oh, my God, I hate that guy, Jason Aldean.
Was that inciting violence? Was that song
of course
not a
it
challenge
was.
to incite violence?
So stupid. And by the way, who's the country singer? I'm forgetting his name now, who put out that song, or at least some of the lyrics to partial of some of his song that was criticizing ICE agents. I would like to say kudos to him, by the way.
Yeah,
for
it
doing
went viral.
that. Yeah,
Maybe somebody in the room could tell us in the live chat, because I forget his name.
Zach Bryant is the guy that I was thinking of. Thank you, Numchuck. And listen, he put out a statement saying he's not on either side, which I'm going to take him for his word there. Nothing he said in that song was anything near the dog whistles that were in that Jason Aldean stupid song, Try That in a Small Town. And let me tell you something else.
That was a racist song.
Yeah, and listen, October 1 is close to your heart as it's close to mine. Let me tell you something about that SOB, okay? I don't blame him for what happened on October 1, but 60 people lost their lives. Did he come back and do a charity concert here in Las Vegas? No. He scooted off that stage. He went to the hospital for about an hour the next day.
Collected his paycheck.
Collected his paycheck and left town. And every single time he's come back to Las Vegas, he's done nothing for charity. Nothing. Oh, I know. He's done some charity stuff in the past, and he wrote a song in his hometown, and he donated a couple $100,000. Okay, fine. Never came. The only time he's ever come back to Las Vegas, I'm talking about Jason Aldean. The only times he's ever come back to Vegas is for his own personal gain on his own tour. Did nothing. And that SOB, try that in a small town. The guy who cheated on his wife, and he's a despicable human being.
I was working that night. I was working on 1 October, and someday, maybe if we get time, we'll have that conversation. But I was actually on duty. I was the watch commander in the city of North Las Vegas that night.
Yeah, despicable. Stuart D. On the YouTube super chat says, Leonard for governor. Come to the UK, Leonard. Stuart says, thank you, Stuart, for that YouTube super chat comment. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let me tell you something. There's not a lot of people in this country I hate. Obviously, Donald Trump would be one of them. Jason Aldean is also on that list, okay, of people that I absolutely hate that I wish would be deported right now to Russia. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Paula. Paula is next up on PTL. Hey, Paula, what's going on?
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I just had a thought. The Republicans are falsely claiming that Democrats want to insure illegals.
No.
So why don't the Democrats request an amendment to this bill that has shut down the government and have the amendment say that these health care extension credits are for citizens only and are illegals, non-citizens are excluded from these programs, which they already are.
They've said it on every news program, CNN, MSNBC. They said it on they said it on every program. They explained to the American people that is illegal, and Caitlin Collins did a great job of running it down. It's illegal. It's not done. But for some reason, I don't know why the shady MAGAs believe it, but they do.
And I'll tell you why.
They believe everything.
Because if Democrats, my dear, decided to do that, Republicans would come up with something else and make up another lie and excuse. That's exactly what the MAGA Republicans do.
It's a straight out lie.
It's a really good question that you asked. but it wouldn't do any good because Republicans would come up with something else. Oh, well, first they say, oh, they want to give health care to all undocumented immigrants, which is obviously a lie. And then they come up with other nonsense. Lori on the YouTube super chat says, just read a former GOP election officer just bought Dominion machine systems. Now what's going to happen to our elections? Well, that's definitely concerning. I'll definitely tell you that.
They have to rig the election.
Yeah.
They're not going to win if they don't. And that's if Donald Trump allows an election.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Let's go to Terry. Terry is next up on PTL. Hey, Terry, what's going on? Hi, Terry.
Hi, good afternoon, Leonard. Good afternoon, Brian. First of all, a little humor for you. I have a sister that lives in France. She used to live in Oregon, and she stays in touch with a bunch of her friends. And one of her friends sent her a photo of a bunch of protesters with fishing rods and donuts on them, and they were dangling them in front of ICE. And it was absolutely hilarious. I thought I'd share that with you. That's kind of a funny thing.
I think I saw that. Are you talking about the fishing poles that they were? Yeah, that was actually quite funny. I did laugh at that. What about the chicken and the frog? Very dangerous people, by the way, they're dealing with in Portland.
Didn't they shoot pepper spray in through the back of the uniform?
They did, yeah, which is actually quite dangerous. Yeah, we were told about that yesterday. Very, very dangerous people. When you have Kristi Noem, who flies from Washington, D.C. to Portland to waste taxpayer money
to use the bathroom,
to use a restroom, and to go up on top of the building and see like 3 or 4 peaceful protesters, one of them in a chicken suit, talking about the threat that Antifa is to this country. It's so absurd. It's so ridiculous.
Did you see the old pictures of
and the
Kristi
last thing I wanted to say, Brian, is that I totally agree with you on Marjorie Taylor Greene about. I think it's all performative for her because of Trump not supporting her. And the last thing is a question for both of you. This peace plan that Trump has, I feel like I don't trust him because he's not going to do anything unless it's transactional, unless he gets something out of it.
Terry, I'll say it. I don't think any of it's going to happen. And I know that's kind of I'm taking a big bite and that's stepping out, but the hostages will be released Monday, Tuesday, and there's a lot of logistics. What about the hungry kids? They said today that that hunger is so bad among the children in the Gaza Strip that they're probably not going to live very much longer. What about that problem?
Yeah, I agree. But I agree with you. I think this is nonsense. There's going to be no peace deal, and if they abide,
I don't see it, Brian.
If they agree to a peace deal, I just don't see these hostages and victims being sent back. Speaking of performative, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, how'd you like to try to perform in front of her? 702-221-7283. Boy, I'd need a lot of pills. Let's go to, and even still, I don't think I'd be able to get there. Let's go to Chris. Chris is next up on PTL. Hi, Chris.
Hey, Brian. How you doing?
Good. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm just if Trump tries this insurrection act, I don't think it's going to work out very well for him. I think what's going to happen is there's enough people in this country that will stand up against him because Germany was not as well equipped as America is to defend itself, the citizens for the most part. Because, and then going back like on the insurrection, he wouldn't have dared to try that 50, 100 years ago because that problem would have been swiftly handled that day. It wouldn't have been 2 years down the road, then try to do something about it. Stephen Miller's pulling the puppet strings. It's Stephen Miller's shadow president.
I don't know, Chris. I hope you're right. I hope they will not stand for it. But I was just talking to a friend about this a couple of days ago, and briefly. You have to remember that modern politics is not 1933 politics. It's not 1944 politics. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of consolidated power that didn't exist back then, and modern techniques and social media. So what I would like to say to you is I hope you're right. I hope the Americans will eventually stand up.
Well, obviously, I agree. I hope so as well. These are very strange times that we are living in, and obviously the government shutdown still in full effect here. I don't expect anything changing here in the next 24 hours, that's for sure. But if there does, we'll certainly report on it. Leonard, thank you for being here again. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's working out great.
Yeah, I'll see you guys next week.
Leonard is going to be filling in for me actually on Wednesday, so that's going to be.
I need a lot of love. I need a lot of help from
you'll do just
from
fine.
the fans.
You'll do just fine. And this is interesting as I share this with all of you. I am going to be. And yes, a man they call Tim Pool.
They should research him. They should look him up.
I am going to be flying to Washington, D.C. next week to debating these guys. So that's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to that, actually. Also, the Un-F America tour. Z from the Un-F America tour is going to come in studio, but I will also be doing an open forum debate an opportunity for people on the UNLV campus to debate me and others at UNLV. That's going to be in a few weeks, and we'll have Z come in studio a few days before and talk a little bit about that. So I'm making the rounds, man. I'm making the rounds.
You're getting out there.
Yes, I'm getting out there. So, Leonard, as I always tell people, it's an independently owned radio show. And for anybody out there that wants to help and keep the lights on for us, we appreciate
Don't forget
all
to
you
give.
guys. The YouTube Super Chat has been great, but I would also ask you guys to go to the website, which is pushingthelimits.live. If you go to pushingthelimits.live, you can make donations. We sell merchandise on there. It doesn't matter what you $5, $10, $20 a month, whatever you can afford. We so appreciate it. You just go to pushingthelimits.live and you'll see a little icon there and a button to donate. We really do appreciate that. And we have some very, very big stuff coming ahead for this station. And I kind of give out a little bit at a time, but we appreciate all you guys for being here. Thank you, of course, to Leonard for being here. He'll be back.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. You'll be back.
Somebody in the room said we hit 148,000 today. Is that correct?
I don't know. I'll have to take a look at that.
Yeah, somebody in the live chat said congratulations.
That may be possible. That may be true. We're very close.
Have a good weekend, brother.
Yeah. Have a good weekend, everybody out there. Wait, I'm coming back tomorrow. What am I saying? I'll be back tomorrow, everybody. And we'll have some special guests joining us on the program tomorrow as well. Be safe out there, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Have a great day.
Thanks, Chuck.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn?